Welcome back everyone to the Railroad Challenge where we have walls on our station, which I presume is some sort of progress. No windows yet, but I do have a set of doors here and a way through for the tracks also. But I am going to need some means to keeping people from falling down here, though that could be as simple as a set of fences if needed. But the question is, what kind of variation could we add for this? Because that's the biggest trick we have right now is, of course, that things tend to be a little bit samey here. Especially since I am on a rectangle right here, and I really don't know of a good way around that for this particular building. Because I don't want it to be too large, and we have this here, and that's about where that pool was, and then we have the hill over there. So I think the dimensions we have are pretty much what we are going to be sticking with. I'm not going to be fiddling with that. Maybe when I get the windows up, that will make a difference. Let me throw in a couple of those. Well, I think that I now know why I don't have any windows there. Yes. How about here? Is there a place here where I could have a window? Yes, I can put a window right here. Okay, good. Alright, that's a good place. As long as it's not a place for... oh, this side I think is guaranteed to be. I could put a window here. This is probably as far as I could. Right. How about across from each other? Good. And can we extend this one more? I think we can get away with that. Alright, good. We'll just create some fences to put on either side, and we'll be set there. We need 4 sets of fences. That should be easy enough to achieve. Good. Of course, if I make more, I always have some uses I could make of fences. What if I try some birch fences on the other one just to see, because I did say earlier things tend to be a little bit on the samey side. Probably better to do it in that order than do it that way. Of course, I don't think I needed 12 birch ones in there, but we'll go with that for the moment. And we'll go outside and check each one to see which one I think looks a little bit better. Looks darker than I was expecting. What if I threw a little bit of light in there? Just to see. That makes no real difference. Yes, I was expecting that to be a little bit lighter than it is. Now let's check this side. I don't know, it sort of doesn't look very different on either side. Probably do need a door on that side also. I have to think on that, because where would I put the door without being too much of a problem? Of course, this is where most of the stuff where they'll be doing, because this is the outdoor fishing pond area. This is where we have a great deal of resources and all. So we've got the llamas that seem to be going all over the place. I think the biggest source of llamas in the future of Minecraft is going to be gathering them from the wandering merchants that go all over the place. Now, let's see here, and here. I'll just have to leave it the way it is for the moment, and maybe someday I'll have some inspiration as to which one is better. If no one notices that they look different, then who cares? Oh yes, of course. Now I know one of the reasons why I was having trouble with the roof, which is the next project we have here. And that is because we've got this little fishing hole here, and I don't want to have to worry about the roof getting in the way. For the roof, we are going to have a center that is right here. It'll be a high-pitched roof going from here to peak up here and then going down like that. And the reason why I'm going to have a high-pitched roof is because we're in a swamp. It's probably going to rain frequently, and I'm sure that we want to get rid of as much water as possible. And the pitch has to go on either side there. We don't want the pitch forcing the water into the rails, because I have a feeling that's not going to be very comfortable. Another reason I want to use a high-pitched roof is because that uses stairs, and stairs are non-spawnable, thus they're easier in order to keep mobs off of. If I had a slighter pitch on it, I would have to alternate with points that would be spawnable, and of course that makes things a little bit trickier to work with. Now, for my roof, we'll have two sections. We will have, in this section, this will be the trim part, and then we'll have the roof itself, which will, I was thinking of using the oak stairs, but now I'm wondering about that because that has absolutely no contrast here. Oh, I know what I could do, is I could make the edges of the roof out of andesite. I wonder if that'll work. But we'll do the parts here out of oak. What we could do is we could do it on this side first and do it slightly. Then we can see what it looks like. Then we could extend it if it works there. That means, though, we will need to take this polished, and I think the polished andesite will work here. And I have a nice quick place to get down without getting hurt. And that gives me an opportunity to use the stone cutter to make some stairs. See, 32 stairs. Will that do? There you go, 32 stairs. Oops, there we go. And we will put this right here. Right here. On the two edges. And then we could go down like that. Well, not if we go too low like that. Instead, we want to go like that. Well, here it looks a little bit funny. For now, we'll keep that, though we may change that in the long run. And just go across like that. For the side framing, I'm going to use the birch. That way we'll have a little... No wonder, the birch is a little bit darker than I remembered. No wonder. I was wondering, why did it look a little bit darker? I guess it's more of a yellowish than a whitish. And I think this will give us a couple of layers. We won't be able to go all the way, I think, on this one. Well, I had little faith there. There you go. And that'll give us an idea of how high. Let's see, this is right here. Not quite halfway. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty high roof. But this will give me an opportunity to see just how high this roof is going to be. Oh yes, of course, because we're going to have the oak here, and that'll be what I'll have to place the andesite against. I think that'll give me something in which to at least gauge how I think it looks. And if I'm lucky, there'll be enough contrast in order to make this thing look at least a little bit interesting. Now, I can, of course, put a ceiling on this also. In fact, I probably will. Perhaps I could have an attic or something like that up there, but more likely that's going to go unused, or something where we have miscellaneous storage that we don't care about and don't bother actually implementing. Actually, concerning what will you store up here? Because I don't think you want to store large amounts of ore upstairs, would you? Sounds like something that would be potentially heavy, and you don't want things to be too heavy, what you're working with. All right, let's have a look at this outdoors. I think we could use a bit of a transition between the oak and the birch there. I have absolutely no clue as to what to use for that. We're using andesite there, maybe including a little bit of a frame of andesite going right across there. Oops, not there. But there. As so. Yes. There we go, and there we go. And across there. Let's see if that looks any better. Yeah, I think it works. It even adds a little bit of depth there. The question is, should I do that, or should I try to use... Should I use that? Should I use slabs, or should I use stairs? I think for the point of view, I think I'm going to just stick with what I've got there and try not to fiddle with that too much. Now, what about the inside? Oh, on the inside, I could... Oops. On the inside, I think I can just... Oh, yes, of course. I can just make that the point where I go up to the ceiling point. I can make that the ceiling point. That way we don't have anything to work with. And if I make that the ceiling point, it'll be a lower slab, which means it won't be spawnable. Okay, perfect. It's not exactly what I'll call a grand piece of architecture, but it will do. Perhaps we could add a window here and on the other side to use on the attic area. And I'm thinking that a dormer would be a nice thing to place right over here. And the reason for the dormer is so that we have a door here. It would be a nice place for a door, because right now our only door is on the other side, and that makes things look a little bit on the sparse side. But if you have an extra door here with a little bit of a dormer shape, it'll be a nice addition to it. Now I just have to figure out how to make one of those things. Not too sure I've ever made one before. Actually, I'm pretty sure that I have. But let's see. I think I want the dormer itself to be 3 wide, in which case I need to... Let me start out with 5, and then the inner part of the dormer could be 3 wide, or is that going to be 2 wide? I guess we'll find out in a moment. Actually, I think 1 wide might be Actually, one wide might be better. So let me go back to what I had before. How about like this? Like this. Like this. Going in like this. I just need the rest of the groups of stairs to work the same way. Not too sure how well I can arrange that. How about if I temporarily put a block here and a block there, and maybe I could do something temporary that I could, yeah, like that, like that, like that. Let's knock out this one right here, and then like this. No, not like that. Like that. Alright, and now if we remove this, that's not a dormer. Yeah. Silly me. Well, that's why I do these things, in order to learn, right? There you go. How about coming out like that? And then a little bit of roof on that. I think that might actually be closer to what I'm looking for. And as I said, if it's too narrow, then I can always just widen it out by one more. The trouble here is that I'll have to do something like that. Not exactly what you call the most elegant bit that we have. I suppose I could just put this here like that, because it now goes up then down in order to do it. That way I can have the door there nice and even. And I will have to now build a roof over this. See how that works. Ooh. Having a dormer that's one wide is a bit difficult to manage. Now I think of it, maybe going with odd numbers, as I was thinking of, isn't the right answer, and maybe it's better to use even numbers. That means a double door, which it sounds a little bit weird for that. Well, no, actually, why not just... see, we want, over here, what I can do is this. We'll do this, this, and this. Good. Yeah, now I got it. And this, and this. And then we just put some slabs on top, which we don't have any for oak. So I'll have to get some of those. But let me just test it out with birch to make sure that slabs work. And then I'll replace it with oak ones. Oh. Oh, once I've tested the feasibility of the trick. Alright, there you go. It looks nice and perfectly ugly. Let's see if adding a little depth to it hurts it or helps it. Up like that. And then we could add this in here. Can I get rid of this? Yes, I can. Get rid of that one too. Good. Perfect. And that way I have an upper door. Not what I call grand architecture, but it'll work. And of course, this is my way up and down to the place. So that's so I can get to that side easily, because otherwise I have to come out here and just run across the roof or something like that. At least getting to the roof is going to be pretty easy in this establishment, because I have both the interior there, and on the exterior I could easily do it from that side. And that takes care of the actual building, right? Oh yes, I did say something about wanting a window here, didn't I? Actually, I better do it from the interior, otherwise I could do it at the wrong location. Here's the center right here. Good. And yeah, that's right. I use the oak for this, which means then that decides on what we do on birch versus oak for the downstairs. Is I will grab this oak, use birch here, and then on the upstairs I use oak on the background of the birch. Okay. Decision finally made. Now, back up here. We've got that side done. Now we need to do the other side. This can give us access to here. For now, I'm not going to worry about this. I'll just put this here. But if I am worried about having access to the top of the line, then I may just turn that into something like that, or at least a better version of this, since I don't have to worry about doing it through the roofing there. Now let's go outside and see how it all looks. Of course, this is where the misalignment between the center and the rail line sort of becomes a disadvantage, but there's no helping for that. And on this side, let's see how it looks. Not perfect, but I think it will be serviceable. At least in this direction, you don't see the rail line, so the misalignment is not as obvious. There you go. That takes care of our second station on this line, which means next time we are going to be able to continue the line all the way out here. See what we have so far. We can stretch the line. I've have this little tunnel here that we can go through, and we come out here up until we reach another swamp area. Our usual causeways that shouldn't be too difficult, and eventually we are going to hit into our dark oak, which you can see up in the distance. I wonder how close we'll get to it when we return in our next episode of the Minecraft Railroad Challenge.